Ali was a 10-year-old village boy with unique physical features. When he was born, he was very tiny, so many people doubted if he was human. While growing up, he was always below his age. Many of his peers taunted him because of his size, but he was unfazed. He was a brilliant boy. Despite being 10 years old, Ali was short, slim and tiny, resembling a 2-year-old boy. Sometimes, the villagers mocked him, while others found him interesting because of his wisdom. One night, the atmosphere in Obio was very solemn and sad, as everyone was scared of what might happen the next day. The following day would be Nkwo Onah, when the giant bird Onah, to which the villagers were forever indebted, would take her sacrifice. Every family in Obio gathered to share a meal, as nobody knew who would be the next victim. Nkwo Onah was a very deadly day that would surely take a human life, as Onah would claim her sacrifice. The next day, at noon, the town crier sounded the giant gong in the village square, and the villagers began to assemble. The atmosphere was filled with fear and sadness. The villagers formed a circle, holding each other's hand and chanting a mournful song. After about 2 hours, they heard the loud voice of Onah from afar. The tension increased, but they continued chanting, even as their voices trembled. Onah landed in their midst with force, causing a heavy wind. Onah was about 20 feet tall, 3 times as tall as the tallest person in the village. It made a loud sound that silenced the villagers, as their chanting had disturbed it. Onah began to walk majestically around the villagers, searching for the person to pick. They began to tremble, and the children hid under their mothers' wraps. Onah carefully scrutinized their faces until it settled on a young pregnant lady. Onah dragged the lady to the center of the village square with its beak. Despite the struggle by the lady's husband, Onah picked the lady and flew away. The atmosphere was mixed, because many people were relieved that they were spared with their loved ones, while others were hurt, especially those related to the victim. Everyone started to disperse to their respective locations. For the rest of the day, the villagers were somber. That night, Ali asked his father why Onah picked the pregnant lady, and his father began to narrate the story of Onah to Ali. Onah was an evil giant bird that tormented many villages that worshipped it. Nobody knew where it came from. It doesn't belong to any bird species. It doesn't reproduce, and it never dies. Obio was a weak village that was surrounded by some mighty villages. They lived in fear because they were often intimidated by their neighboring villages. Many decades ago, many villages teamed together to fight Onah because it had tormented so many people. They all agreed to set their villages on fire, since it was the only thing that could kill Onah. When the king of Obio heard the plot made by these villages, he decided to take advantage of this. King Ozue secretly met Onah to strike a deal with it. He promised to harbor the bird in exchange for Onah to protect his people from their enemies. That night, all the villages were set on fire except Obio, because the king commanded them not to do so. Some group of warriors trooped into Onah's lair to set it ablaze. Onah dashed out of its lair and flew away. The villagers were displaying fire in the air, and Onah knew there was no other safe place except Obio. It landed safely in Obio and hid. The next day, The 5 villages were jubilating that Onah had been sent out of their vicinity, not knowing that Obio people had betrayed them. Few months after the incident, Obio waxed stronger. King Ozue became stubborn and began to challenge their neighboring villages. One day, their immediate neighbor village wanted to fight them as usual, and to their astonishment, Onah intervened from nowhere and burnt their soldiers to ashes. When the news that Onah resided in Obio circulated their neighboring villages, they felt betrayed. Those villages boycotted Obio and also stopped intimidating it. The people of Obio were so happy that Onah fought for them. They abandoned their gods and began to worship Onah. However, King Ozue never told his people that he fed Onah with human flesh every 3 months. There was constant complaints about missing people in the village, but the king never did anything about it. The villagers never knew that King Ozue was responsible for kidnapping to feed Onah. One day, King Ozue died, and his little son, Prince Chid, was crowned after his father. A few months later, Onah waited for its sacrifice but did not see it, so he decided to visit the king's palace. Unfortunately, it met the prince on the throne and used its beak to take the prince. Out of anger and disappointment, Onah burnt the whole palace. There was uproar in the village. The villagers summoned the courage to fight Onah, but Onah killed every soldier in Obio. They tried to get help from their neighboring villages, but realized that they have been abandoned. This continued to happen until they got tired of fighting Onah. Onah comes anytime it wishes and takes anyone it wants. One day, the chief priest summoned the villagers after consulting the gods and told them about Onah and King Ozue. Everyone was sad as the king did not seek their opinion before bringing such calamity to them. The chief priest with some elderly men from the village went to meet Onah in its lair for a proper negotiation. Onah gave them the condition that he would stop killing their people. Rather, he would pick as he wished once in 3 months. The villagers set out a day in 3 months and called it Nkwo Onah, meaning a day for honor. It has become a tradition in Obio because this calamity has lasted for so many decades, even before Ali's father was born. Ali could not sleep that night as he wondered how to stop this unfortunate tradition. All the brave people who stood up against Onah died. It was safe to say that killing Onah was impossible. One day, Ali came up with a plan but did not tell his father because his father would stop him, being that he was the only child. He went to the blacksmith and requested a sharp pestle and knife. Every morning, Ali goes from tree to tree, collecting gums, but no one bothered to ask him why. He continued doing this until the next Nkwo Onah. Before the villagers could gather at the village square, Ali was already there, but no one saw him because he climbed the mighty tree in the village square. The rule was that every family member must be at the village square. Ali's parents searched for him, but he was nowhere to be found. When Onah landed at the village square, Ali's parents were dragged out and accused of hiding their son. Without hesitation, Onah picked Ali's father. The moment Onah flapped its wing to fly, Ali jumped from the tree and mounted on its back. The villagers saw him, but they controlled their reactions. Onah noticed that something landed on its back, but did not bother as it had no weight. Onah took Ali's father very high in the sky. While flying, Ali opened his starch bag and brought out the gum he had collected and began to rub it on his body and Onah's back. At this moment, Onah realized that something was still on its back. Onah increased its speed, tumbling so that Ali would fall from its back, but it was already late as the gun firmly held him on Onah's back. Ali brought out the pistol and the knife and began to stab Onah. Onah dropped Ali's father. It began to spit fire, but not on its back. Ali continued digging and digging until Onah's strength failed it. However, the villagers noticed that Onah was in a big trouble and they prepared themselves for war. When Onah was falling from the sky, it continued to spit fire, burning huts, farms, and trees. At a time, it got tired and landed on a hut, sustaining so many injuries. This time, it could no longer spit fire. The villagers surrounded it and began to attack. Ali safely got out of Onah's back, but unfortunately, his father died. Onah was chopped into pieces and burnt into ashes. Hence, there was peace and joy in Obio village. Ali was rewarded with many acres of land by the villagers. This is how the tiny boy returned peace and harmony in his village. Never look down on anyone because you may never know who your savior is. Thanks for watching. For more interesting stories, please subscribe, like, and comment. Thank you.